Greetings, Monday morning grinders. It's your buddy Chop It On coming at you with another episode of Chop Talk brought to you by DFSArmy.com, your one-stop shop for all things DFS, MMA, PGA, NFL. We have it all sports covered. You're looking at the research station. You know where to find me out on Twitter at Chopadong, but at DFSArmy.com, you actually get access to the coaching. You get access to the interaction with the experts to teach you to become a better player. So drop down into the comments section, click the link, DFSArmy.com, use coupon code CHOP, C-H-O-P, to trigger a 10% off discount and become a VIP today. Yes, we have a light membership for tools only, but I can't help you with the research station. I can't help you with the optimizer. I can't help you with all those things that have a growth curve to them because you need the Slack, you need the interaction with the coaches and the experts to teach you how to use those tools. Anyway, let's dive in, break down the slate today in the world's fastest slate breakdown. I don't dive deep into numbers. I give you the logical explanations for who should do the best today. That's all I do. We'll be done in 10 or 15 minutes here, so thanks for tuning in. Let's get rolling. You can find me out on Twitter at Chopadong, of course. I'm going to cut down through chin music a little bit today just to show you on Mondays. We always throw in the top rated offenses for the last 30 days, who's scored the most runs. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? Scoring runs. I don't care what your WOBA is as a team. I don't care what any of that stuff is as a team. When I'm looking at these types of numbers, I care about putting the rubber where the road is or putting the pedal to the metal. The Rangers, Red Sox, Nationals, Pirates, Cardinals, Orioles, these are your top offenses right now. These are who are scoring runs in any matchup. Yeah, they might be running into some soft pitching a little bit more than other teams, but they're doing something with it. Cardinals are number 5 because they just came out of Kansas City where they blasted them for a few runs. And why is that? Because Kansas City gives up a ton of runs. When we look at the second chart, we're looking at over the last 30 days team ERA. We want to be picking on those teams that cannot pitch. Does that make sense to you? We want to target teams who are scoring runs. We want to target teams who are allowing runs, and we want to put them together if we can, like the Rangers are doing. I'm going to be paying close attention to the Texas Rangers this week because they're scoring the most runs in offense, and they're giving up the most runs. So I want Rangers bats, and I want anyone who they're playing, I want their bats too. Game stack, game stack, game stack. Very, very simple. When I look at teams that are on both lists, those are the teams that I'm kind of trying to target for those game stacks and breaking them down for you right here. Rangers, Orioles, Cubs, Angels find themselves on both lists. They are both scoring runs and giving up runs amongst the most in the league. Now, you're going to pay attention a little bit to matchups when you do this, but as a general idea, these are teams you should always have in the back of your mind this week because they are the teams that are in better positions to either play or attack. Scroll down here to DFS pitching. What we're looking at now is the slate of playable pitchers, and they're not all playable. I had to scratch Mad Bum off the list because his K-score was too low. He's a plus 175 dog. He's facing the Dodgers, and I just don't trust the guy at that low level at that high a price. It doesn't make any sense to me. DeGrom is another funny one because he's got the highest price on the slate, but he's a dog. He's facing the Yankees. He's an underdog. He's got a great K-score. I'm not saying he's not going to have a good night. I'm saying it's a little bit risky. I don't make a habit out of picking on the Yankees. That's like walking out there when that grizzly bear's eating salmon in front of my tent and I try to poke him with a stick and get the salmon back. It's not always going to work out in my favor. DeGrom is not going to have a good night in this matchup all the time. And what we want when we're messing with pitching is we want guys that are liable to have a good night all the time. So this has a ceiling limitation on it. He might be a little bit cash safe. I'm just not going to make a habit of it, and he's not going to test his upside. It's a little bit contrarian, let's say, because when we find Luis Severino, Clayton Kershaw in better situations for the expensive pitchers, they're both favorites out of Vegas, 170 minus 200. They both have 500 K scores, and they both have decent ratings out of the DFS Army grading system. They're facing weaker offenses in the Mets and the San Francisco Giants. Why in the hell would I play DeGrom? So you might think, hey, Chop, that sounds like that's a little bit contrarian. I might play. It's DeGrom. He's still got a 530 K score. He's got a 98 DFSA grade. The Yankees are probably not going to just blast all over him either. He is a good pitcher. So that's not really as contrarian as, say, stacking Yankees bats. You want to be contrarian, stack the Yankees bats. Because the pitching usually wins out in these matchups. DeGrom may not have a great night, but he might still have a good night. Do I see him getting torched for 8 runs? No. Would it surprise me if it happened? No, but I don't think that's going to happen very often either. So it's not like I should be stacking Yankees bats against him just because I'm saying he's not in a good spot. Every single thing is relative. Every single thing is on a sliding scale from really, really bad to really, really good. And we have to get good at measuring where on that sliding scale things lie because we need to focus on the things that lean all the way to the good side. The mediocre to bad stuff, screw it. You don't need it. You don't need it in this game. In fact, focusing on that just to say, well, they were going to be low owned is stupid. If it's in a great matchup and it's going to be low owned, awesome. That's what you want. If it's just mediocre, now you're throwing darts, you're praying that lightning strikes, and that's a dumb way to play. It's a recipe for redeposit, man. Keep doing it all you want. Come back to me when you run out of money. I'll fix you then. But the bottom line is, in these pitchers, we got Severino and Kershaw that are in pretty good spots. Greinke, you know what? Greinke out in Texas, a little bit of a ballpark factor. When I'm looking at these guys in the low 10,000s, you know what I mean? Kershaw's a high 10,000, but whatever. All about the same in Vegas. All about the same with K-score. Decent DFSA grades. I go New York, San Francisco, Texas. Hello. Was Texas not the top scoring offense over the last 30 days? Is that who we should be messing with? Probably not. Is it a good ballpark for hitters out there in Texas? Yeah. So probably not. So Greinke at 10-2, boom, overpriced. See ya. That would be a contrarian pitching play. More so than DeGrom. When I look down at Clevenger, so I'm stuck still on Severino and Kershaw. They're both about 6 one way, half dozen the other to me. I don't mind either one of them too much. I come down to Clevenger at the minus 165, the 469 K-score in Cincinnati. Another ballpark issue. Bad ballpark issue. Not striking a lot of guys out. And with the minus 165, you know, I'm still looking probably for $1,000 at Severino. Severino facing the Nets, K-score 506 versus 469. I'll pay $1,000 for that. You know? Then I come down to Haney and Fulte. And Haney at 86 and Fulte at 89 are definitely playable. Minus 120, minus 175. Obviously, one is stronger out of Vegas than the other. 486 and 469. Obviously, one is a stronger K-score than the other. About the same DFSA grade. Picking on San Diego, never a bad thing. Picking on Miami, never a bad thing. Yeah, they do have their games. But generally speaking, not a bad thing. So you want cheaper pitching, $2,000, $3,000 beneath these guys? Here's your pitchers right there. Pick one, roll the dice, throw a dart. You know, sometimes throwing darts is a good thing. Sometimes it's not. So I would run these four pitchers, Severino, Kershaw, Haney, and Fulte Newitz tonight. That's who I would be running in my player pool, if you will. Everybody else, screw them. I don't need any other pitchers in that. I'm trying to cut down to the best pitchers that are going to have the best nights. I'm not trying to pick the long shot out of the dark that is maybe going to have a great night, but most nights is going to implode and screw my lineups. That's not how I play. And when you pay attention to me, that's not how you're going to learn how to play. You want that, go listen to a GPP only guy who really and truly, GPP only guy is code name for undisciplined. It's the kind of guy that really just wants to throw shit at the wall and see what sticks for, you know, hopefully 10 grand. Fine. If you want to be that way, that's fine. But that's not skill. There's a little bit of skill in the ownership leverage stuff, but generally saying going down to, I'm going to play a $6,000 pitcher, that's stupid, man. Most of the time, it's not going to work. And when it doesn't work most of the time, and I know it only needs to work once, but when it doesn't work most of the time, it's not for the kind of contests I play. It's not disciplined. It's not smart. It's not going away from emotion. It's you trying to exert your ego on the world and think your shit don't stink. And you got to get off of that kind of thinking if you want to be a well-rounded DFS player. That's what I teach. Okay? And we can argue and debate that stuff out on Twitter all you want. You want to call me a dumbass for always taking the safe route? Fine, call me a dumbass. It's not going to hurt my feelings. I mean, after all, I just called you a dumbass for always taking the risky route. So whatever. Main slate pitching roundup. We scroll down to the pitching to exploit. These are your pitchers to exploit. Let's go find them. These are your 3-star offenses, Cleveland, Arizona, your 2-star offenses. And it's kind of funny because the GPP offenses, I threw Detroit in there because I flamed the living hell out of them earlier up here. Just ignore them for the rest of the year. They suck. And so because I really went out on record and said that they just suck and you should never play them the rest of the year, they'll probably score 10 tonight. That's called Oppo Chapo, and it is a real thing. Every time I do that, I jinx myself. So if you wanted to throw a Detroit stack out there tonight, man, be my guest. It'll probably hit for you tonight. When we dive into the research station, which is what we always do, we cut over here to the DFSA grade. It's sorted by that. And what I'm going to do first, I'm going to sort by salaries here, not sort by salaries, but look at the salaries. DeGrom, upgrade on DK. Kershaw, downgrade. Severino, upgrade on DK. Greinke, downgrade. Did we say something about Texas? DK saw it. Haney, a little bit the same. Fulte, big upgrade. All right, that would tip my scales over Haney. I'd play Fulte over Haney. The rest of these guys don't care. I don't care. I don't need any of them. They're all... So when I scroll down here and I reverse the DFSA grade, we find phase 1 of bad pitching, since we already targeted the good pitching. Now that I've found, I'm going to come down to about a 40 or under. That's just my arbitrary number. You want to use 60, use 60. It comes all the way down here to Brad Keller. Kansas City, Cleveland, Arizona, St. Louis, Detroit, Chicago White Sox, Toronto. Give them all 1 star. All right? 1 star for all of them. Write them down. Now I'm going to scroll all the way over to Vegas odds. And I'm going to take opponents' runs, implied runs, out of Vegas. And I'm going to go down. There's not a lot over a 5 tonight. It's going to be a little, it should be, according to Vegas, a little bit lower scoring slate. I don't need to go down to 4.5 just because they're some of the best on the slate. I can stop here at just these 3 or 4 offenses at the top. So let's look at the 3 or 4 offenses at the top. Arizona, Cleveland, Atlanta, Toronto. Did they all already get 1 star? I believe they did. There's 2-star offenses. Your 3-star offenses are going to come out of that. Now we're going to go double red. Take the WOBA, sort by descending. All these are red down to about here. So anything above here in pink, I don't think I would consider Fulte, although he looks like he struggles with lefties. There, 4 in a row and then 2 here. So these 4 from Lewicki down to Gonzalez and then Bailey and Colon. Scroll over here. Lewicki down to Gonzalez. Oakland, Detroit, Atlanta, Chicago. All get a star. And then Bailey and Colon, Cleveland, Arizona. Cleveland, Arizona are your 3-star offense. It's that simple. Cleveland and Arizona are your 3-star offenses. Atlanta, Chicago, White Sox, Toronto. Well, not really Toronto and KC, but Atlanta and Chicago are your 2-star offenses. Your 1-star offenses would be your Toronto, KC, Detroit, St. Louis, Oakland. Guys that hit the list once. Now what we have to do is we have to go into the Trends tool. I've already got that sorted by greater than 350. That's how I filter that one out. And I'm going right into your offenses. Goldschmidt, Avila, Peralta, Escobar, playable. 2-star offense in Atlanta, Freeman, Acuna, Flowers, Culberson, playable. Look at Culberson if he gets the start. Ripping the cover off the ball at 582 WOBA. Cleveland, 3-star offense, of course. Ramirez, Lindor. Are you sick of seeing these names every day? Shouldn't be. You should be playing them and making money. Chicago White Sox, only 1 guy. You got to consult the starting lineups page for that. You come over here to MLB tab, you come down here to the starting lineups page. It has a neat little tutorial with it, and it will show you what you're looking for when it comes to maybe some potential getting ready to break out. I'll show you that in a minute. Who else do we say? Kansas City? Same situation. If they've got no hot bats in the L7 WOBAs, then I'm not going to use them as an offense. I don't trust them. Unless I can find another indicator that they might be getting ready to break out. Smoke, Hernandez, Martin, Miley, those are your Toronto guys. The reason I mentioned Toronto and KC and listed them in Chin Music was strictly for the game stacking aspect of, when we scroll back down here, Blue Jays and Royals are not on this list, but they're on this one. And when bad defense plays bad defense, a lot of times you get offense. Okay? So they're worth looking at. Not saying they're the core of what you do tonight, but I'm saying they're worth looking at. So now when I scroll down a little bit more, or I'm sorry, come over here to the starting lineups page. Why did I not like Detroit? Well, first of all, Detroit is in a good spot. I don't think they have anybody on their team anywhere. There, look. Nobody on their team anywhere. over 350 WOBA. That's why they suck. Not a single putz on that team is hitting over a 350 WOBA for the last 7 days. Nobody's hot. But to verify, you can come down in here to the starting lineups page. And I had to go sifting for them because it's early in the morning or early-ish, and it hasn't really reorganized and realigned all the teams. So I found Iglesias, Castellanos, Candelario, all these guys down here on Detroit under the Toronto tag, but they're on Detroit. So when I look over here at their ex-WOBA numbers, this is what they should be hitting at. Now the WOBA is what they are hitting. This is over the last 14 days to the handedness of the pitcher, maybe to the handedness of yesterday's pitcher, but it's to the handedness of the pitcher. And when it updates, I'll double check it again today, but I'm not going to see anything out of here. Look at this. Nothing. It's all pink. Not a single one. Aducci's hitting over 350, I guess. And that could have been to lefties instead of over the last 7 days total with lefties and righties in the mix. So, and that's ex-WOBA. That's not even WOBA. So what you're dealing with here is a bunch of bullshit that shouldn't be hitting for crap anyway. So I don't care if they're facing, you know, my sister and your sister in a league of their own. I don't care. There would be crying in baseball if I rostered these turkeys. Get off of them. Watch them score 10 tonight. Their ownership won't be very high. You don't need to worry about them. Nobody else is going to be on them either, so X that one right on out. So when we scroll in to the research station and wrap things up here, there's not really a tip that I have for you today other than I want to tell you that with the light membership at DFS Army, you do get access to the tools, you do get access to the optimizer, but what you're really missing is the coaching and the interaction. You don't get to ask me questions. You don't get to ask the other guy questions. Not that I hung the moon or anything, but I can certainly help you, and I dig in with guys one-on-one in small groups all the time and direct them and point and explain myself when you have questions. You heard me say this or you saw me point out this. You want some explanation. You can't get that unless you're a full-on VIP. So I would encourage you just to jump into the VIP. If you think you've learned from the coaching and whatnot and you only need the tools, then back on down. Jump in for the 45 and back down to 30 later. That never hurt anybody. You cost yourself $15 for a couple of months. Big whoop. But you get access to all of our tools through all of that VIP stuff anyway. So we can show you how to use them. Then go ahead and back on down. But the point is, click the link. Use code CHOP, C-H-O-P, trigger that 10% discount. Get in now before NFL kicks in because we're going to start transferring over to NFL content here shortly, and you're going to see how we've set the world on fire in baseball and last 2 seasons in basketball, and you're going to see it in NFL again this year. It just happens. The bigger we get, the more winners we find, the more people we help, the more we educate the world, and the more we're teaching people to become better players. Don't get left in the dust. Don't fall behind the curve. Don't become the fish. Become the shark. We're turning Joes into pros at DFSArmy.com. I'm your buddy Chapadong. I will see you all tomorrow.